breadboard or whatever need to be protected.
Yeah, that flyback
So
is hard to get
out
around. When
much.
you're pulsing a coil,
I popped enough capacitors.
Is your adjustable power supply working that we saw in the video?
Yes, it is working. The workbench power supply.
Just get the $10 circuit. You're fine. You can use your phone as the generator.
So I did earlier because I just got the adapter to do so, but for my laptop to input a tone. So right now I was only limited to the phone and the stereo, but I have the adapter for the laptop, and I was just trying to whip up a circuit, but I couldn't get it running with the tone generator. So I don't know if I'm adding the tone generator and the battery correctly.
You're looking at high-low. You got to get the tone is on a very low. Your voltage is on a high. So it's a high-low circuit. So you have to run your voltage through this circuit that adds the frequency to it. It's like I said, it's a $10 device.
Oh, so the battery has to be running, and then
you mean a high pass filter and a low pass filter?
Yeah, it basically adds your frequency to.
So I can't just put them both on the. What I just is just put them both on the rail on the breadboard.
If you want to pass the high frequency to your coil without the low frequency,
it didn't work, but
you can do that with a capacitor.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Series.
There's one. Yeah. So when you can tune it in properly on the low end range, I'm assuming that's somewhere around 7 or 10 hertz. It also depends, I guess, on the size of the sphere. I think mine is a little bit too big for my coil.
Wow.
If I got a smaller one, I might be able to do that. Yeah, that's a neodymium magnet in there.
I like how it looks like an eye.
So what they're doing is just putting in a low end frequency. Like for me, it's like 7 hertz. And yeah.
It's very stable.
All right.
It's nice how it stabilizes it.
It's pretty remarkable. I mean, it's mimicking a black hole, really, or a plasmoid, if you will.
Or a magnetic bearing. It's like a magnetic bearing.
Yeah. All the same geometry.
Around. What is the coils wrapped?
That
kind of frame.
Geopolymer, what's epoxy resin mix or something.
Mm-hmm. And that I have to emphasize, that kind of coil frame is not like, it looks good and it lasts. It's good for keeping up. But in reality, it's really hard to wind something like that compared to the method that I use in my guide. And that's something that Daniel Nunes emphasized is, they tried everything. They tried even this method, and they found that the easiest method to do this is just to put it on the sliding disc frame and just, use zip ties and tie it up like that. Because this takes a long, trust me, I tried it on my smaller one, and you have to, go through and glue it step by step and make sure everything, is straight along the way.
Symmetric.
Yeah, and make sure the wires don't get bent while you put them back through it's a process, and there's some tips and tricks you can learn, but you'll definitely want to get some extra wire if you try one of these, because, like I messed up a couple of them before I got it right.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we are almost at 3 hours now. A full hour past what we want. Oh.
That's what you need.
Is everything you do open source?
Yes. You can get the guide on my channel.
The voltage goes through right here on this side. It just passes straight through. This adds you can just hook your phone right to it. It'll add the frequency to it.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, it's really cheap. You could do it anytime you want.
And what's it called again?
One here, my high voltage, to add a duty cycle and a frequency to it, so I can change the output of my high voltage coils. So that's a different one, but this is the one you want right here. It's real cheap. You can get a bag of them for like $10 at Amazon. Said the voltage goes straight through here, out the other side, and then your frequency goes in here. And it's 5 volts, so you can use your phone.
No, that's good. I'll look into that definitely, and I'll definitely need help constructing some kind of circuit for the next phase of testing. So I look forward to communicating with you guys via email and updating you next week.
Right on.
Awesome.
All right. So we got Tim. Tim, you still with us? Do you want to, if you're here, share your album with APEC Adventure? No. Did we lose Tim?
Tim the Body Ventura. No.
Right. Smackdown.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Mike is done as well.
You from the WWF. Sorry, I had to.
Oh, good. Anyone, I guess, any other last words while we're waiting for Tim to get back?
Oh, I just wanted to, I put just a little comment in the private chat, but if you wanted access to the rodent coil guide, it's all open sourced on my channel. If you go to the video that I uploaded, I think it's the second last one, called 0 Point Energy Solved. In the description, there is the link to the guide on my Google Drive. So you'll have access to all that, and it's a work in progress.
As is all real science.
Yeah, so, but it will be updated. So if you check back periodically, but I do emphasize, try to, copy it and paste it somewhere, just in case, back it up for me.
Ben, you should try pulsing that coil with a double pull, double throw.
You're a friend of Ken Wheeler?
Yeah, no, I did. I actually have a video on Ken Wheeler. I love his work in magnetism, but I do a strong criticism of him on his economics. It's terrible. So if you go to my channel and view how capitalism suppresses free energy, that video delves into that.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, United States has had a law since 1951 suppressing free energy because of the oil for dollar type situation that they had going on.
Yeah, the petrodollar.
Yeah, it's all interconnected. It's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Yep. Why they killed Stanley Myers.
Those bastards.
All right. Well, until Tim gets back, or if Tim doesn't get back, we can end it with this. But in lieu of Stanley Myers and trying to resurrect that technology, we need oh, come on. Where is it? Oh my god, did it closed?
You lost your cue, Bernie.
Lost it. All right. Well, I don't know. Now it's freezing. Doesn't want me to share the hydrogen video. Happens every time. Literally, every time I share this hydrogen
I got a video on
fuel car video. It freezes.
On the pole flip demonstration of a coil.
Hey, Tim's back.
Yeah. Hey, I was going to ask Nathan, have you tried experimenting with your mid plate on the Graviflier? Jared and I have been talking about that a lot. Different mid plate experiments to try.
Like which one? Like for what? What kind of experiment?
That center plate.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like. I'm just kind of guesstimating, but like, so he was talking about counter rotating eddy currents, right? And so then that brought me to this idea of torsion shear, which is something I've heard before. And if it's some kind of a torsion shear effect, like we talked about a bunch of different potential experiments, like maybe the idea, I think, was he was talking about counter rotating eddy currents in skin effect layers, and you got a really thin plate there. So you basically you would have these eddy currents that are like just like a millimeter or less apart, going in different directions in this plate. And maybe that's what's causing the lift, if it's some kind of a torsion effect. So if that's the case, one of the things that I'd wondered about was maybe, like, what if you could improve the conductivity of it by trying copper mid plate, or maybe try one of the things I wondered was maybe putting copper tape over it, and basically you would have a junction between the aluminum and the copper, and you could get those currents even closer together and try and isolate them more. I mean, You know, that I don't know. And then some of the other stuff we talked about was, let me see. He's going to coat, I think, his screws on the bottom of the rotor so they can bump the voltage up a little bit higher. And then he's trying magnets on the top rotor as well as the bottom.
I tried both, the top and bottom.
Yeah.
I've used nylon bolts. And I could tell you right now, you don't need to bump that energy up. And the actual eddy current works against you because you're taking it out of the right octave in the center plate. As soon as you add the magnets on top, that's why Alexy couldn't do it. It's the eddy current that actually couples the capacitor between the bottom plate and top plate. As Jared always tells you, you feel the eddy current in it, right?
Yeah.
But what he's not putting together is it's creating the capacitor, making your center plate able to grab a volume of energy to build up both energies on the top and bottom plate. So I don't think he's had the plate where you've had the voltage on the top plate. It'll expand by double no matter what you do if you can bring up your volume of energy in your center plate.
Okay. Okay.
And I don't know that he spiked it the way I did. I've gotten that thing to double and hit a second resonance state in this thing and just amplify like crazy. And the only problem I had was I bent my high voltage thing going in, so it sparked over and it was taken away from my energy every time it did. So I corrected that, and the thing it was lighting up with
Good
energy.
observation.
So,
so you didn't see any lift effects from it, right?
No, not yet.
Let me see. Have you tried balance beam? You probably have, right?
Oh, you're talking about where he has it on the level?
Yeah. That was my
Have
idea.
you tried weighing it at all? Maybe putting it on a scale. Maybe it is getting something. You just can't notice
that was
it.
why. Yeah. So what we tried was, he had that balance beam that was like, I don't know, $10 from Home Depot or something. And so what we did was we created a balance. We just put string in the center of it. And then he put the Graviflier on one side and he used a bucket full of water on the other, and he was pouring water in to match the weight. Right. So, so he felt like, I mean, it does have a fair amount of vibration, but he felt like it was actually creating a little bit of lift every now and then. So
maybe it was like pulsing.
Yeah, he's using the flutter. That's what he's looking for. He's looking for a flutter on his dish.
So
it's creating a little bit of a lightning.
Fascinating. That's
it might be interesting to try and do a balance beam, Nathan. You might be getting some thrust with it that you're just not seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think honestly, I'm hitting more of an energy level with it on the ground because of the way the Tesla coil is. So when I'm done with that, and if it doesn't work, then I'll do the balance beam as well.
Yeah. Well, and that was something he didn't try. He's got his suspended in the air. I guess he was saying he used to do it on the ground, but he's got it suspended in the air now. So
it has to do with the charge level. If you think of gravity like snow, right? And snow comes down. If you want to break that snow, you got to resonate this thing. So you got to vibrate it pretty hard, right? And the more you do it, the less the snow can stick on it. So it's the same way as gravitational waves. If you could break that with resonance, you're going to make it feel lighter to the environment. It will not change the weight at all. It'll just change the way the gravity affects it. And if you can do that, then you're good. That's why hitting the right octave with the right resonance and the vibration will actually break it free from gravity. It's why bridges go torqued out of condition when you do that, when too many people go over it and you keep the constant signal going with their footsteps or horses on a bridge. Everything like that disrupts the gravitational wave. That's exactly what you got to hit here, but you got to hit it dead on. And that's why I say the application of energy, because I can't measure it in my oscilloscope. I break it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have to see it another way. And the only way Alexy sees it was when that energy picks up when it's ready to lift off. So I hit that state.
Yeah, we had a lot of EMPs when I was over there.
Well, you should see the ones that go off in my garage.
Yeah. Now, some of those, there might be a way to isolate some of those. Some of those that look like basically you had high voltage that was dumping into the ground. And when I was working with lifters, we had that problem too. The problem is when your HV goes into the ground, it comes back up into your circuit through the ground.
Well, that's okay. Imagine that effect and sucking in the ground, right?
Yeah.
If you can take all of that energy that goes to the ground and flip it in an instant, that's your lift. You have to take everybody keeps saying you can't get the energy from the ground. But if you're taking the ton of it and you're creating that charge just like your lifter does to the ground, where it sucks real hard to the ground, and then you get a pole flip. So you're changing the charge automatically from one to the next. It bumps and you raise.
Stubblefield, Tesla's apprentice or predecessor, I guess. He had a battery that it was called the Earth battery. You just plug it into the ground, no input.
That pulled from the ionosphere, right? That was the ionosphere.
I believe so. Yeah, I have it in the practical guide to free energy devices. I just haven't gone over it yet.
Yeah, I think that would be different than what we're looking at here. I know what you're talking. You know what? If you're interested in that Stubblefield thing, oh God, where is it? There, I saw a video online. You can actually build one with LEDs. They're low enough power.
Really?
It's God, where did I see this? This was like probably a couple of years ago. They used a 6-foot LED pole, and they used a 6-foot pole and it had an LED in it, and there was like a little resistor or something. There was a easy circuit. You plug it into the ground, and the potential difference is high enough that it'll actually light up the LED, and you could use it as night lights.
That'd be interesting to hook up in with the rodent coil to see if it amplifies it at all too.
I built a rodent coil. I never saw anything, but could be.
How did you have it hooked up, and how did you wind it?
Oh, it was a long time ago. I was running AC through it. I just used the standard rode-in winding.
But did you bundle your wires, or did you use the loose wind method where you just loosely wind them on top of each other?
Loose bound.
Okay, so that is a common mistake with the rodent coil. What you want to do is actually take an electric screwdriver, and this is covered in the guide. You take electric screwdriver, and when you based on the number of winds you want, you tighten it real tight, and then you use the electric screwdriver to bundle the wires so they're as tight and evenly together.
I mean, mine were tight for hand wound, but what kind of effects are you seeing from it?
So apparently, when the difference is, I guess, what you're doing is when you leave in space for the wires, you're not compressing the magnetic fields and amplifying their effect, right? They're just loosely or not. So they need to be twisted and tightly packed together. So the effects amplify and compact on each other. So what you're doing is creating, like one magnetic field with one wind and another one with another wind and another one, and they're all compacting and compressing on one another. And when they're tightly compact like that, I believe that you kind of pinch off one of the poles at a specific frequency range, when you tune it in and using the geometry. And in my opinion, you pinch off the inflow to the aether, because magnets are nature's over unity devices. In my opinion, they take in from one pressure differential to the other, the North Pole to the South Pole. And if you look at my video, magnets can best be described by fluid dynamics. Why do opposites attract? It's the current of the aether flowing around them. If you take two spheres and spin them in a pool of water, spin them in the same direction, they're not going to spin the same current in the same direction. So they're going to repel.
So what you're kind of talking about, this goes to the same idea of the torsion shear effect.
Right.
Similar.
Yes.
So, but what kind of effects do you see when you do the coil?
So in the low end, you can produce a strong electromagnetic field with very low power input. And at the higher end, and I believe there's maybe like a harmonic where you can even go one higher, like megahertz range, and have another effect up there in that range. But in the higher end, you see it over unity. And in my coil, it seems to have a 1-to-2 ratio in voltage while at least maintaining the current. So that means you'll have like 3.5 on the input on volts, and then you'll have like 7 on the output.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it's fascinating, and there's a couple of common mistakes that people do with the rodent coil wind, and I believe if we can just correct those mistakes, people can actually replicate this.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Yeah, well, what you were talking about with the vortex flows, that was I was looking at something kind of similar with the Graviflier, and
Yeah,
that's kind of a different it's kind of a different approach than Nathan is using conceptually, but I
right.
mean it doesn't mean I'm right. I'm just kind of
Yeah,
guesstimating.
we're all
It's
just
all
kind of
about
like
the flow.
shooting in the dark here, aren't we?
Yeah, well that's the problem, right? I mean that's the
And
problem.
see,
But
yeah,
maybe
this
that's
is the
maybe that's
most if oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Well, maybe that's good though. I mean, you got like a bunch of different people who are approaching the same problems with a ton of different directions. Maybe that's good
Exactly.
because everybody's trying different stuff,
Yeah, no, that is, and we're
Mm.
all out of the box thinkers, and that's important. But that I wanted to say just real quick that last coil that we saw, that was the advanced 432 3.0 coil, the last version, the most advanced version that the First Stop Energies Daniel Nunes produced, and supposedly that design will eliminate the ozone problem that the coil has at higher voltage.
That's the coil there. That's beautiful.
Yeah, they really had some beautiful coils. They spent 10, 11 years, their family making these coils, putting a lot of love and a lot of, labor into
I
them.
was in talks with them. They came on
That'd be
to a
awesome
live
on top
stream
of a
with
Christmas tree.
me and Alien Scientist one time, and then all of
Really?
a sudden, just like I was planning a full episode with them. It was supposed to happen in like a week's time, and like then all of a sudden, just every video on their channel disappeared, and haven't
Disappeared.
been able to heard from them since.
When was that? Like around 2022?
It was 2022, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it lit
Sometimes
up?
people get crank troll comments and it freaks them out. That UAP theory guy, Thor, he did that. He was just like he I guess he got some troll comments and it just made him nervous, and he's like, I just don't want to have it online anymore. He took everything down, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah, and there's and honestly, the Occam's razor tells me the simplest thing that happened to them is they got sued or they got entangled in some kind of legal situation and got a gag order put on them. They just had to take their shit down off of YouTube or something.
could be, yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame,
It might have been they're growing vegetables in the dark, and the vegetables grew to the coils that got them maybe classed as national security and everything.
The agriculture, the agriculture industry is a mafia, dude.
Or maybe they weren't growing vegetables. Maybe they're growing something else.
It's not just the food industry; it's the medical industry, it's the energy industry. They're all just separate mafia.
Right. But the cat's out of the bag now, so it's up to them and their industries to adapt and change or die. That the cat's out of the bag. They can't put it back in the bag now. There's too many people on this. There's too many eyes, and it's we got the thunderstorm generator being demoed off this weekend in a what is it, North Carolina?
Could be.
Yeah, forgive me.
Yeah, the Cosmic Summit, I believe, is in North Carolina. Is being demoed this weekend. Like there's too many people onto this now. Joe Rogan and a couple of other major celebrity podcasters have already talked about this and had Randall Carlson on talking about Malcolm Bendel and his new technology, and that's kind of like the stepping stone into the next industrial revolution, where we kind of can introduce these new energy saving devices without disrupting the status quo. Have these industries adapt and change or die. It's just that simple.
Forgive me for not being too optimistic. I was around in the 2008 kind of rush into YouTube with all the different FreeEnergy and Bedini and Thomas Bearden, which I got to ask them both a question. And there was a lot of people working on FreeEnergy at that point. And there were a lot of different devices that looked very promising. And then nothing. It just all ended.
Well,
so,
and there's
it seems to be an unfortunate pattern. But I mean, I think the major mistake again is these people didn't open source their stuff. They didn't have backups. They didn't have apprentices.
I agree.
I'm gonna have
like
to
if I had somebody building a
disagree.
coil right
What
now
I
along
saw
with me.
happen was several of them that were all open sourcing, and they were developing to the point where it was like, okay, this is clearly undeniable. Now we've seen that this like actually is at the point and now crossed over and is working, and then boom, all of their channels just disappeared. The ones that actually had them, all of them disappeared. And then what happened next was the same models of those, suddenly a few of these bigger debunking free energy channels all produced
an influx of them came
models
up.
of each of them.
Let me ask you something. Was it just YouTube, or did they have backup channels on like Rumble and stuff?
I don't think Rumble was around then.
No, it was
right.
more
So what I think, and this is a good practice in general, is just to have a backup channel on Rumble, on different various platforms, just to back up your stuff as on many different platforms as possible, because like it's not like these if somebody is doing this maliciously, it's not like they have universal access. They probably have to go through channels to get through one platform to the next. So it's not, I don't think they shut down everything all at once.
The United States has laws preventing free energy from being released.
Right, but you have to understand these platforms are intellectual property themselves.
Oh no,
right?
I understand completely, but these platforms aren't exactly free entirely.
No,
they're
not. They're not exactly free. And
there have been a lot of scams. There have been a lot of scams.
Oh, there's definitely been a ridiculous.
That's kind of why I built my forum. Like that's Wix. It's actually hosted and admin by me. I upload videos on there. If Wix wants to shut me down, then I'll just move to another platform. But if everybody just has the mentality of trying to use multiple.
Don't get me wrong. I'm right there with you. I want everybody to try this. I want everybody to build one. I want the whole world to have this for free. And if these platforms are the way to do it, then by all means, let's do it.
It might not be though. No, that's what I'm saying. It might not be. We might have to build our own platform, and I'm not sure how to do that yet. But I guess the forum on my page is kind of like a starting point, but still, it's not foolproof. But I think we do have to build our own platform. Screw these bigger companies. We can do it ourselves. Networking, grassroots.
It's called APEC, and here is the platform.
You have something.
And everybody needs to come to it.
Hey, everybody. Tim Ventura here, and I want to urge you to visit altpropulsion.com and register for APEC, the Alt Propulsion Conference. Over the last 2 years, we featured over 100 of the top PhD physicists, engineers, and innovators in breakthrough and emerging propulsion, and we're looking to grow the conference this year even more. APEC is a Zoom-based online conference event. It's always free and open to everyone. We've been featured in Popular Mechanics, The Debrief, and a number of other media publications. This year, we're going to take things to the next level with
so APEC is the platform, and there's the APEC Discord and Telegram, and what else is there too? Because that's where everyone's collecting, right?
Yeah, so those headphones I know when I recorded that, because I bought those headphones right at the same time that I bought the mic, and then somebody said, "Tim, quit using the headphones, use the earpods." So I switched to AirPods. So
that's why you don't have the sound like Mikey does. Just kidding.
Right.
Well, this room I recorded.
I'm on a Bluetooth headphone set. Yeah.
This room.
Yeah, now you're good. Now you're good.
So I'm
it's very short range
in here, but yeah. So APEC is on you. We broadcast on YouTube, but that's the conference. So the platform is YouTube, right? It's just the APEC thing.
Well, I get APEC needs an app, I guess.
I don't know. Do you guys? Did you see my? Can I show you my photos?
Yes, please do, and we'll probably end it off with that because we get long.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing some video editing tonight too. So, okay, here. I'll share that. Let me share this real quick. Oops. I'll be quick. So I have been, if you guys can see this, Is that working? No. Oh, okay. There we go. I have been crisscrossing the country to take photos. These are all new. Everything from Asilomar. So I went to Jared Yates. I've got videos of this on the Alt Propulsion channel also. And then these are all photos that I took at that time. And so this is Jared's Graviflier. And let me see, let me go back up here. So the most recent one that I went to was, I just got back from the SCU conference, right? And that's the UAP one. That was in Huntsville, which was not the easiest flight. And so there's Matthew Sadagas, there is Kevin Newth, Gary Voorhees. I didn't label all of these, but I labeled enough so that you know who's who. And what I'm trying to do is basically just open this up and get higher quality photos out there. And so I'm trying to take advantage of all of these different events. There's Isaiah Ritchie, because Isaiah lives kind of near Jared. So when I went to visit Jared, we went over to Isaiah's place. And so that's his SEG. So I got photos and video of that, and I've got those up on the Alt Propulsion channel. And so the idea was, again, it's like well, you guys know, right? It's like we deal with so many crummy photos and bad video online that, after a while, it's just like, okay, somebody needs to put up
high
good stuff.
def, undeniable, non-AI documented work possible.
Because all the people working on these things, they're not, or a lot of them, they're not classically trained to they're not classically trained to
you
believe
need to draw
like
out your
this
diagrams
is
more often.
Well, it's just, I mean,
every time you change something, you should draw it out.
I get it. It's just these folks they're busy working on stuff, and so they don't invest the time. And I get that, but like my hope was like, maybe I can help just open this up, right? I mean,
right.
And then part of it, like with the Alt Propulsion channel, and you've probably seen that, the Alt Propulsion YouTube channel. I spent a couple of days at Jared's place, and I just tried to film everything, because like if Jared or Nathan explains what they're doing with the Graviflier, and Jared was using a lot of your videos, Nathan. He
really?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, look at this, look at this, look at this. Yeah, so like the thing is, the work that you do, like other people use that to build off of. And so then it's like, man, if I can help share that, that's really cool,
Exactly. We're all here building off of each other's work to help each other paint a bigger picture.
Yeah. Right? So
it's a lot easier to do with diagrams.
So next week, I'm going to Drew Arigma. I'm going down to Florida, and I'm going to meet with Drew. And I'm going to try and just get a little bit more and try and present it a little bit better. And then after that, I'm going up to Mark Sokol's lab in New Jersey and just try and get what I can do there. So
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, unfortunately.
And then you got to go to Hutchinson's again.
He is down. Where is he at? He is down. It's north of San Francisco. It's like an hour and a half north of San Francisco. It's like an airport dead spot. Like you literally have to drive for like 2 hours, no matter where you fly into.
I would love to do an interview with him. He is so cool.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think he's actively doing work right now.
Yeah, he just wants to be left alone. I'm sure.
Some of this is old. Like that was 2005, right? So.
And why hasn't it progressed in 20 years?
You know what? I think EVs kind of displaced a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, that was like a total cop out.
Like this was kind of moving forward and picking up steam. I think, and these guys are still around. I mean, and some of it, like those, I don't know. The Hutchinson effect, those are good photos.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. You document scientific history evidence right here.
Those are some wild photos.
Where did you get these photos?
I shot those at Hutchinson's place in like 2005, 2006.
It just literally like melts apart.
Yeah, and so one of the things I noticed going through the videos also was not all the time, but most of the time when it starts to melt like jelly like that, it starts in the center. So it's almost like that's where the wavelength reinforces.
Right. Where it propagates.
Yeah, like it starts in this. He'll have like a big bar, and it'll start to pull apart in the center of the bar.
Yeah, and no, I seen that in the videos. Yeah, like in strands.
And
almost.
That one too, right? That's one bar, and it's started in the center. So
it's not supposed to be hot. Is that true? Or am I misremembering?
Yeah, no. I mean, there's one. So there's one where there's a Canadian penny. If if you scroll up, well, it's way up there. There's a piece of aluminum with wood in it, and it's honest to God, like, oh, it's right there. It's right there.
I seen that. I seen that. That was
that's from fingernail. That's from my.
So what is he doing? He's taking ultra high frequencies and different tones in multiple tones.
I mean, I have kind of a pet theory about what might be going on, but I'm not sure.
Well, and him and Nancy and APEC, when asking them specifically, it was very similar actually to what Nathan's talking about with the pop, and that like he's listening and gets these Nancy described them before, John, as like pop moments or something when he was in the zone or like the right frequency range to do it or something like that.
So what I could tell you is, any metal, right? You've got these little crystal domains in it. Those are visibly disrupted in these samples, and you can kind of see that on camera. But when you hold them up close, you can see that the crystal domains in that aluminum are seriously messed up. I mean, it's
crystals are switches. They're all facing the same direction.
So
if you polarize any of them the other direction, it's going to fracture the whole thing.
What I think maybe going on is, okay, in any chemical, right? Like in metal or anything else, valence electrons hold it together, right? So those all have different frequencies, but like especially in a big sample like aluminum, right? You're going to have similar frequencies. What if you could disrupt? I don't know how many it would take. What if you could disrupt the orbitals for some of those valence electrons? You'd change the chemistry, right? But only when the field was on. And so maybe that's what makes it flow like a liquid, is he's hitting those valence electrons with, and then the minute you turn the field off, they kind of go back to normal, and there's no evidence that it ever did that. So you'd get like melting at room temperature.
That's interesting.
Isn't he putting in two different frequencies, like one vertical, one horizontal?
That's what I thought. I thought he had two different inputs.
He had lots of, so he had high voltage DC.
Some or more.
He had a
signal generator with a
Tesla coil,
antenna.
Sometimes multiple Tesla coils. He had a lot of stuff going on. He also had some old Navy equipment that he played with, and from what I understand,
from a submarine.
He would use different stuff at different times.
The kind of stuff you really got to have courage to mess around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was definitely
and you've got to be real safe with it and know what you're doing.
His neighbors hated him.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure he caused all sorts of brownouts all the time.
Yeah, that one is so there's brass. There's aluminum bar, right, and then there's brass. The brass is kind of the yellow one. There's no evidence of heating or tool work on any of these.
But look at the brass; it's like bubbly almost, like it's spherical patterns.
Yeah, and then above that there was iron, and with the iron that was actually hardened, or what was it like?
This
it was from an axle,
kind of bismuty like crystal formation, but it's brass. I get it.
He was pumping up the amps with a clean signal.
That's part of an axle, right above it. Right above it is part of an axle, and.
Yeah.
To me, that almost looks like erosion. I'm not sure if that's Hutchinson effect. That to me, that kind of looked like erosion. Right to the left of that's aluminum, and I was trying to get a close up of the crystal domains, right? And you can kind of see. I mean, that's a bar of aluminum.
Chalky, salty kind of.
Yeah, something just trashed it. I mean,
compared to this, it almost looks like wood or like frozen clay or something, right? Like
Yeah, but I mean, I've held those, and it's just it feels it's aluminum. It's so whatever happened to it, like, and then that's a steel table knife that's embedded in a block of aluminum, and that happened at room temperature, and then they put it in a I don't know, some kind of a vice grinder to cut through it so you could see it, but it went right in. So, and you can see there's no evidence of heating or anything like that.
Yeah, you would see it if it was melted. You would see it.
Yeah,
it looks like it's just fused together.
Yeah.
If you can get your signal up with enough amps behind it without any distortion and a nice clean signal, and whatever material that signal passes through is going to try to shape itself to the shape of that signal, assuming you got enough amps behind that signal.
He wasn't using amps though. He was using all kinds.
Yeah, he had some high-powered frequency generators.
No,
you kidding me?
John.
High power. He was very courageous.
No, Mike's right. John did some crazy shit.
I know what he was. I saw his equipment. I was following him.
Right, like sonars, radars, all sorts of crazy. Like literally, he was stripping.
He had old school Navy equipment. That stuff's high amp, Gerald.
Yeah,
I know he had a Klystron at one point.
but that being said, most of these effects, I think,
vacuum tubes,
Tesla coil created. I think, Mike, I think he added most of that stuff later, and I don't think that created most of these effects. I think most of this is like multiple Tesla coils and Van de Graaffs. But then the other thing that you got to keep in mind is he worked in a really, like, it was a tight space lab, and there were lots of resonance effects, right, from tables and racks and shit like that. So,
hey Tim, was Jared getting cold heat on his center plate? So the plate would be cold, and then it would have tremendous heat where you burn your hand.
I don't think so.
I get that in mine.
Yeah, and you're saying that the cold's on the inside, Nathan, and the heat's on the outside.
Nathan, you sure it's not a cold burn? Because you can be burned by extreme cold as well.
Well, all I know is my finger was absolutely
liquid nitrogen.
In seconds.
Do you think that might be from the voltage, though?
There's nitrogen in the air. Maybe the plate was grabbing onto nitrogen.
It didn't happen until you hit a special resonance state. You don't get it right away.
Nathan, if you can take some videos of specifically that phenomenon, would be awesome. Because
I'll burn my finger for science for you.
Yeah.
No, I will. I'll do it.
I mean, the air is 20% nitrogen.
If I get to go back to Hutchinson's, if I get the opportunity to go back there, I will try and get some more photos. I think he still has most of these samples.
I think it has to do with the vertical waves and the horizontal waves and their combination when they hit in the center. Because I'm getting that in the Graviflier with the piezo disc coming down and then the rest of it coming across the center plate.
You might talk about that with Jared and see. I mean, one of the things that just by visiting there and throwing ideas out, like, it had some inspiration, and you guys are both builders. So maybe you'd inspire each other. Just have like a tuning session or something on Zoom and see what you can come up with.
Brainstorm. But I was skeptical of Hutchinson at the beginning, but when I think about it twice, I got an hypothesis. You remember the atomic forces I showed? I said that it's easy to change the parameters. So maybe that's what he's doing. He changed the atomic cohesion of the atoms.
Hutchinson has been suppressed relentlessly.
I kind of also suspect, as Bob Greenier is pointing out with ball lightning, the EVO, that there's some sort of plasma field is created.
Bernie, it's interesting that you mentioned that. So the EVO thing goes back to Ken Shoulders. That's who originated it. And Ken and John were like close friends for years. They used to email each other. And John and both of them felt that too. They both really felt that EVOs played a role. They used to talk all the time, man.
know, speaking from personal experience, when I first seen the Hutchinson effect and researched it the first time, I thought it was phony because the video I was watching debunking it was actually put out after his videos, and it was just one of his videos, and they edited it a line into or they replicated it in some way to make it look fake. And
there was one that people got really pissed off about. He told me when he was going to do it.
I never saw that.
The thing to know about John was, number one, he changed his equipment several times. Like he would have equipment break or whatever, or sell it or whatever. The other part was he quit for several years because he was doing it all in an apartment, and his apartment landlord just said, John, people are complaining, right?
Yeah.
So he got back into it.
Drawing a lot of amps.
He had TV crews come through, and one of them said, what about this lifter thing? And I was doing lifters at the time. And John said, I'll do a lifter. And he put a toy UFO on a string, and it was a wire. And he just put a high voltage on it. You could see it move a little bit with the high voltage. And that got on the internet, and people said, oh, look, it's fake. You can see a string. Well, the thing is,
that's the video. Yep.
Okay. That basically, it was a TV studio that said, build a lifter for us. And then it got misinterpreted, I guess. But
so it was actually authentic footage, but it was
interpreted or misrepresented.
Right.
Yeah, he was just playing around, and he didn't even have his classic Hutchinson effect stuff at the time, because he called me. I talked to him like the day before or the day after he did that. He described the whole thing.
But that video has been used to debunk him for years, and when you look at it a second time, you're like, wait a second, how is he doing all this other stuff?
No, it was totally different. It was totally different. He didn't even have the original equipment, and he wasn't turning on the stuff that he did. But part of it was
you can't find any of his original videos anymore. I mean, when he first came out, you could see them.
Putting them back up on his channel.
I have them. No, I have them.
Yeah, on his website, there's a lot of.
Tim has them all. There we go.
Social media, anyway.
They should be up on Alt Propulsion. That used to be the American Anti-Gravity site. There should be his original. So, okay, the original footage they did was Super 8 footage.
Like, find the one with the bowling ball. Like right now, you won't find it that easy.
Tim's got it on VHS somewhere in the box. I guarantee.
I seen how was it a bowling ball? It was a steel ball or something, a cannonball from a cannon.
Yeah, it was freaking huge.
There we go. Here we go. I'll put it right into chat.
Can you play it? Can you share screen? Play it.
I tried looking for that one.
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, this is everything, and then
He has a lot of stuff on his website too, but you have to pay I think it's like $34, and you get access to like a whole big archive. I mean, some of it's not science stuff, but yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that.
It's like Hutchinson, John Hutchinson, or Hutchinson.com or something like that. I forget the domain, but I can look it up real quick.
Yeah, I seen when he first came out on YouTube. I saw the one with the bowling ball.
Yeah, I mean, if you want,
I'm sorry, the cannonball. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to load it. My computer's being slow and crappy.
The cannonball he had lifting for quite a while.
I can if you want. I can. Bernie, do you want me to play it?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I think that's right about the time that they started censoring him.
I put a soundtrack over this because it was kind of cool and creepy at the time, and I kind of regret it now. See, that was my.
Okay, I'll put the link in there if anybody's interested.
AAG.
I have the law, yeah, because that was I have the raw video in here too, but yeah, what they did was they took the Super 8 and they cleaned it up because that was film footage. George Hathaway shot this, so part of it is like if you want to know. So this is some of it. This was like highlights from the Hutchinson effect. And this was I think this was 1080.
Crazy. A plastic bottle.
Look,
yeah, there's the cannonball.
Yeah.
Right, first the wrench, then the.
That cannonball weighs about 20 pounds.
And
I'm
how
trying to
the
think.
wrench went first, or the vice
I
grips.
Is that
then
a
the
bucket?
cannonball.
That's yeah, a 5-gallon bucket on the floor there.
That's a
Yeah.
file, just so you know. That thing that's glowing and sparking is a file. It's like a steel file. But it wasn't hooked up to anything. It was just doing that spontaneously.
Did he ever make anything disappear completely?
He had said the short answer is yes. I think he had that happen once or twice. He also said once it happened and there was some kind of a big glow. There was like he also had some weird
So I have something to say about that. On his website, if you look on his website, his official website, it says
got
that the
enough amps?
military looked at his videos, the Canadian military or whatever, and they said to him, "Do you realize that in a couple of your videos, for like a frame or two, things are disappearing?" I couldn't see them, but that's what it says on his website.
And let me see if is this the one? No. What one's this? Yeah, this is the original. Okay. So this one is here. I'll drop that playlist.
What is that?
And look at the
that
field
is
line.
so that's water. It's a cup of water, and again, this was shot on Super 8. This is when it was not cleaned
Water?
up. Yeah, it's so the
Coffee cup.
the magnetic fields or whatever are vibrating the water. So that's what that one is, and then
And like, look at the field for.
okay, that's the file. That's just a steel file. That's a steel file. You can see sparks coming off it. I think he had that pinned between two pieces of wood or something, but it wasn't connected to anything. There's sparks coming off it. You can see those.
He's like ionizing the air or something.
No, you could put
sorry.
a coil over it and energize the coil would heat up the iron.
This was a oh hell, what was this? Basically, it was like a steel wedge, I believe. Sorry. Here, I'll just zip through some of these. This was a steel wedge that never flew entirely. So one end of it lifted up, but the other end was too heavy. So it's kind of vibrating on the table. And then that's another one. It's a steel wedge block of some kind. Same thing where it can't quite get off the table. So it's got a little bit of weight still.
Kind of like these haunted houses with the chairs that are rocking on their own.
It's so wild, like how it's almost like it's pulsating, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you guys, the cannonball, he actually had, there's a lot there. You could see, I mean, that's like 10 minutes of it.
That's a 5-gallon bucket on the right there. You see that? It's the table sitting on the bucket.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Mike.
You know what?
Give you an idea of how big that ball is of steel. That's probably 30 pounds, 40 pounds.
He had
the ones that are not made of metal.
That is a cup. I think that's a cup with like milk or milkshake or Elmer's glue or something like that.
Yeah, it bubbled
so it's
up
a liquid.
and then shot up.
There, I think you can see it again. Yeah, what I'll do is in just a sec, I'll drop this playlist link into chat for you guys. And I think that's
so wild.
There's more liquids. So there's that one, and then the other one. Let me back out of this really quick, and I'll copy this playlist. Where is it? I think here it is. Okay. So this is George Hathaway. George shot, if I understand this correctly, George shot a lot of this video. And so there's George describing some of the things, right? Like he's like, okay, here's what it was. It's rocking back and forth or something like that. There's him. And then there was also at the same time, and this is 8 minutes long. And again, this footage sucks, but there's John describing what went on. And this is like early 1980s. So that's why his face looks all distorted. I think this was VHS footage. Okay, here, let me stop. I'll stop sharing. Oh, And here is.
I would argue that footage was epic, even though it's low quality.
Yeah, well, that's why I put it up. And the problem is that's all there is, right? So, you know,
This footage is some of the most legendary footage out there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, John sent me the highest quality he had, and then I took it. I think a lot of that I took off VHS.
If I had my workstation up, I could try to upscale some of it, but my computer's down at the moment.
Yeah, you could. I would have to go through my hard drive. I think a lot of that I saved in Windows Media Format because it was early 2000s, and I didn't realize. I mean, back then it was like, yeah, this will last forever.
But
I
yeah,
have so many boxes of DVDs. I really, really regret.
I'm on a Mac now. I can't even play Windows Media Format. It's
oh
like,
boy.
yeah. So I have to figure something out. But
Well, guys, this has been awesome, but I gotta bail. I gotta.
Yeah,
work
absolutely.
so,
yeah,
Absolutely.
well, if you're
It's 4
interested
hours.
in that, if you guys are interested in that Hutchinson stuff, I just dropped the playlist in there. You know, I mean,
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
thanks,
And I
Tim.
just
That
shared
was
it in the
great.
live chat for everyone.
I don't have live chat. All I have is the private chat.
No, on top, there's a button that you hit on the right, and it'll show you the comments.
So,
Oh, wait, never mind.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right, everyone. You guys have
Yeah.
a good night. I'll
All right, Jared,
email
we'll see you later.
Nathan and
Have a
Ben.
good one, guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, have a
Thank you.
good one.
Bye bye.
Absolutely. When's the next APEC there, Tim, before you leave? Oh, Tim's already gone. All right. Well, in that case, thank you, everyone, for being here. Subscribe to Benefactor, Old Man Builds, Mike Does, Phil Bouchard, Faraday Research, WPG and Light for Truth 2, myself, and we'll be back next week. Thank you all. Ta-ta.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good evening.
You crazy mother. Yeah.
It's just Bernie.